This is Kate Woodlock, founder of Empowerment Through Spirit and your spiritual transformation guide. How's everybody doing out there? So today I wanted to talk a little bit about being stuck in fear and worry. But before I really jump into that, no one should be living and stuck in fear and worry. But before I really dive deeply into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how important it is to stay balanced in yourself. Because the first thing that happens when we're not taking care of ourselves, and when we're out of alignment with ourselves, is that we go into that place of fear and that place of worry. And we start worrying more when we're not in balance with ourselves. When we're not in tune with ourselves, and our own internal guidance, not being in tune with our own internal guidance, we get exhausted and drained because we're focusing on everything that is outside of ourselves. And that's how we end up getting really out of balance and out of alignment in the first place. We let that get really out of hand. So we look at these external things that are happening outside of ourselves, and we end up going into fear mode. And we start to really worry about the things that are happening outside of our internal circumstances. We end up looking at our bank accounts, for instance, wondering if we are going to be able to pay the bills, our mortgage, our car payments, for the groceries, or for the kids' school supplies, wondering if our children are going to be okay, wondering if our partners are being faithful, or if they really love us. If our jobs are going to be able to sustain us, or if they're going to be there in the morning. I think my internet connection is a little unstable. I'm sorry about that, guys. I hope you can hear me. There's a million different things that I could rattle off that we could worry about. I don't think I need to list them all here. You guys can probably come up with a vast list for yourselves. We can absolutely all do that. We do a wonderful job of that on our own. But what I really wanted to touch base on is how powerful the law of attraction really is. And when it comes to fear and worrying, how doing that is using your mind and your imagination to create the opposite thing that you really want. When you feel yourself being fearful and in worrying mode, it's so important that you pay attention and tune into that emotion and realize that it's coming from outside of yourself. It's really not coming from you. So when you're tuned into yourself and your own internal guidance and into your own core, you won't be focused on the external things as much. Those external things, the bank account, the job, all of those other things, the relationships, they won't sway you as much, and they won't cause the anxiety and the worry as much. So it's really important to take time for you. Even if you're a busy mom, even if you're busy at work, even if you have one of those like chaotic hustle bustle lives, even if it feels like that, take what time you have out for you. Even if it's just a little bit at a time, to just breathe at your desk, 5 minutes a day to meditate and to breathe, to move your body, take a walk at work on your lunch break, to get outside. If you have the opportunity, take your shoes off and get your feet on the earth, to ground that energy and bring you back into your body. Because when you're in that fear and that worry mode, it takes your energy and it brings you out there and brings you into those external circumstances. And that's not where your energy is most useful. And it's not giving you the opportunity to connect to your body and to the emotions that are coming up within your own being, and it's not giving you the opportunity to align and connect with source and with spirit, or the opportunity to be able to move those emotions that are coming up within you. Another really helpful thing you can do when those things are coming up is connect to your heartbeat, especially when you're really struggling, because your heartbeat and your breath are always with you. They say the heartbeat is the drumbeat of the body. There's so many different cultures that use drum beats in spiritual cultures and things like that. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I use a drum all the time in my spiritual rituals and things like that. Many other cultures and spiritual communities do. But your heartbeat, you don't need a drum for it. It is always with you. And so is your breath. So if you can take, if it's at your desk, if it's while you're feeding your child, just pay attention to it. It is always with you. Tuning into them brings your focus from the outside back into the inside, from the external back into you, back into alignment with who you really are, and helps relieve a lot of those external anxieties, and the fear and the worry that you've created up here in your mind, that don't really exist. Those fears of the future that you have yet to create. Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for joining me. I've missed you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, the law of attraction. Absolutely. Yeah, so when we're not tuned into our body, what's going on emotionally, that's when the biggest fears and the biggest worries come up, because when we're not in tune, we're not aware of what we're creating. And we start attracting whatever it is that we're afraid of and whatever it is that we're worried about. And as soon as that happens, we're like, I told you so. I told you that was going to happen. I told you that he or she was going to cheat on me. I told you that they were lying. I told you that I didn't have enough money for this. I told you that that payment was going to fall through. I told you all of these terrible things that were going to happen were absolutely going to happen. And they show up in our physical reality, and we're like, I knew it. I told you so. And we get exactly what we created every single time. Every single time. And it's the worst because we knew it, but it's also the worst because we created it. Not realizing that when that initial feeling comes up in the very beginning, when we're like, hey, wait a second, we have an opportunity. We have a beautiful, incredible opportunity to attract something completely different into our reality, to recognize what is coming up in our minds and in our bodies, and we can write a completely different story. Emotions, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Emotions are interpretations of energy. They are physical interpretations of energy. I'm glad you're back, Jenny. Thank you so much for joining me. We all have crazy times. Mercury's in retrograde. Things are kind of going nuts, but I'm so glad you're here. So what was I saying? Yeah, emotions are just interpretations of energy, and sometimes they can feel good, sometimes they can feel bad, sometimes they can feel neutral, and sometimes they can make us feel like we're going nuts. And often these energies are subconscious, and they don't often belong to us. And that is something that is important to recognize too. They can be from our family lines, from generations past, and they can be coming down to us from people that we have never met, from past lives that we have lived before, that have, come in to this lifetime to help us release things and lessons that we haven't learned yet, that we need to continue to release. Things that we aren't even aware that we've experienced before, that we still have an emotional reaction to. And that is completely within your power to bring that from the subconscious into the conscious and to be able to let it go. But that does typically take another person to help you hold space for that, to bring that from the depths of the subconscious into the conscious, to be able to let those triggers go, because triggers can be really powerful. So you can freely, and in doing that, you can freely write and create whatever story you want to, one without fear and one without worry. And this is a huge thing that I help my clients with, to help clear the subconscious and to help clear that inner space so that they can create the lives that they want and the lives that they were truly meant for, to live in their true purpose, to create the abundance and the happiness and the joy, and to live in the purposeful, joyful lives that they want and they need, and that they know on the inside that they were always meant to be living. And that's why it's really important to gain an understanding of energy and of how to be able to tune into that, so that you know that those emotions that are coming up are simply your compass, really, so that you don't have to be afraid of them. Those uncomfortable energies, they're simply your compass and your navigation system, so that when you are using that compass and your navigation system, you can either point it towards fear and worry, or you can point it towards positivity and creating the life that you really want. Um, and that's exactly what we will create. If you're pointing it towards fear and worry, that's where you're going to get more of. We create what we're afraid of if that's what you're pointing it towards. And we will prove ourselves right every single time. Every single time. And the biggest challenge I find with adults, especially, it's not really true with children, because children are fantastical little beings that can create whatever they want because they're so full of positivity and wonder. But with adults, because we've been conditioned by society and we've gotten into the habit of using our imaginations to worry and find fear, because that's what society teaches us, and we turn on the news and we've got all these flashing neon lights that say this is going to happen and there's a natural disaster and oh no, oh no, oh no. We've gotten into the habit of using our imaginations to find worry and fear. So that's typically what we use it for in the mainstream, until you know where to look. And that's exactly what you guys are all doing here. That is what all of these women are doing here, and that's in this group. Right now, you're here. You're trying to better yourselves, working towards a transformation. So congratulations. You've taken a huge step forward. You believed in coming here that something bigger and better was possible. And that's an amazing thing, because not many people actually do that. There's very few people that actually do. Your imagination and spirit and source, your spirit guides, whether you know who they are or you don't, guided you here. And your imagination decided, hey, I'm going to take a leap. And I think it's possible, that I am worth something more, that I think something better is possible. Knowing on the inside that if you put the energy and the time into it, that something better is possible and that something bigger can happen for you. And I absolutely hold each and every one of you into that higher light. And I know it is possible for all of you. It absolutely is. So don't doubt yourselves, because it absolutely is. So if you are stuck in a place of fear and worry, you don't need to be. No one should be stuck in a place of fear or worry. That is not how we are supposed to be living. If you are stuck in that place, that is a huge problem. That is a huge problem, and you should not be living like that anymore. If you are stuck in that place and you are ready to take the next step in your transformation, reach out to me. Shoot me a PM and let's set up a complimentary synergy session. Let's get you out of that fear. Let's move you forward in your transformation. Let's get you on the next steps to a life of joy and happiness and freedom. I will get you the same amazing results that I get my clients, and I would love to work with each and every one of you. So I'm going to check out the comments section now. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Thank you all for joining me, by the way. Hi, Crystal. So you've been on the self-love journey for the last couple of months, but fear does come crawling in your head. Yeah, I mean, it does. We're human. It does come crawling in. But shoot me a PM. I would absolutely love to hear your story and hear where you're at. What are you afraid of, Crystal? Just out of curiosity. Not to put you on the spot. You're so welcome, Jenny. I really look forward to talking to you. I've missed you. not accomplishing what you set forth to do, and just doubts that come into play. That's a big one, but the lifeline changes as we change. You know, new things come into play, new ideas come into play, and new energies come into play. And I would love to help you on your journey to decide and figure out who exactly you are and who you were meant to be, your actual life purpose, Crystal. So if you want to figure out your life purpose and whether or not you are in alignment with it, let's set up a call. That's exactly what I do. Awesome, Crystal. Yeah, shoot me a PM. I'm excited. All right, does anybody else have any comments or questions? I'll hang out for another minute or so here. You're so welcome, Crystal. I'm really excited to connect with you. All right, ladies. That's it. I love you all with my whole heart, and I will see you in the next video.